super professional streamer over here. Hello, everyone. Welcome to session 7 of Mechwarrior Destiny, Salvaged Destiny, a Mechwarrior Destiny actual play. Joining me today are 4 of my friends. We were off last week, so very excited to be back with these fine gentlemen and continue the story of the Delta Company. Well, no longer Delta Company, perhaps a new name. But with enough out of me, let's pivot over to the players. Let's hear from them about who they are, what they like to do, and who their fathers are, and what they do as well. No, just kidding. Let's start with Lawrence, actually, who is in the wrong spot, and I'm going to fix the overlay. Let me get this going. All right, go ahead.
Yep. Hourly B, unders, whatever you want to call me. Playing Lawrence, the Lyran-esque, just occasionally into deep Russian accents. Warrior from Planet Robinson.
Yeah.
And
oh man, you are lagging so hard.
But I'm running on
lagging
very professional team.
so
Give me the glow sticks. The glow stick.
Just you are lagging so hard. But we heard from you. Your name is Lawrence. You're kind of German, and it is what it is. But that's fantastic. Nightbot's being a little, it was very good. It was like womp 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 womp. That is fantastic. Usually it's so only good. Cyprian that lags, but this week we got Anders too, so we'll figure it out. But next up is Willow. Let's start from Willow.
Hey everyone, name is Strom. You can find me on Twitch and YouTube, Strom Plays. I'll be playing Willow, who is a I like to say he's a fast-talking bit of an asshole, but he seems to be much more heartfelt these last few months. Something about a civil war will do that to a person, I guess.
Puckish rogue. He's a puckish rogue.
Like it.
Hey, don't talk about my mother like that.
That's fair. Wow.
Okay.
All right, that's fair. Cyprian, let's hear from you.
She asked about me?
Oh man. What's the rules for PvP? Oh, I can't remember. No.
Hi, I'm Steve. I'm playing Cyprian Devon, who is now without a homeworld. So he's trying to come to terms with that. But at least his parents are still alive. But now his dad is his boss. So.
Oh man.
And here we go.
Here we go. This is going great. So there's that. Yep. Just everyone's lagging. You know what? That's fine though. We'll figure it out. We'll just F it. We'll do it live, kind of. We'll figure it out. Anders is gone, which is fantastic. Love that. But let's hear from Callum.
Oh, I'm kidding. Hey guys, I'm Aaron. I'm playing Callum, originally from the Free Rosselhag Republic, displaced now for the second time in his life, forced to flee a new homeworld because of war. He's the unit's forward scout and I guess resident therapist now, considering the last time he had to come to Jesus with one of the NPCs. So maybe that's it. Maybe he'll just hang a shingle up and be like Lucy from Peanuts, like the doctor is in.
Oh, what's going on here? Oh,
what?
We got a second Anders. Oh man, here we go.
They're multiplying. They're becoming self-aware.
Are you going phone instead? You have to drop the other one, otherwise it's gonna screw up the overlay. We're figuring it out as we go.
Steve's
like Anders too. What is happening here? Oh man,
they're merging into one.
All
it's good. They're gonna be standards.
Let me remove. Okay, there we go. All right, let's make sure. Okay,
beautiful.
now everyone's not where they're supposed to be. Let me fix it. Hold on. We're gonna actually get playing here in a second. Let me just. Okay, so Callum's got to go over here.
I mean, I'm fine with this the way it is.
This is here.
Entertaining as hell.
Nope, that's this guy. Cyprian's got to switch with him. This guy switches with him, and I think we're good. Yeah, there we go. Now we're cooking. Now we are actually cooking. I'm just gonna make you a little bit bigger, Anders. There you go. All right, I think. Oh, nope. There we go.
There we go. Nope. It does.
Hey, now we're cooking with spam. There you go. That's fantastic. All right, so after some technical difficulties, we're actually gonna get playing here. So we open our scene. The Anders is a puppy, which is fantastic. Do you need a second?
I'm setting a background.
I can give you a second, man. Whatever you need, man. It's all good. I got you.
Keep going without me. I can still hear you.
All right. That's really all that matters. You're also a puppy dog.
Yep.
It's adorable. I kind of love it.
It's just
Anders
annoying.
has turned into a puppy dog. Aaron is pretending to be frozen. Cyprian is
Damn
still
it,
here,
damn it.
and Strop. I can see you breathing. Like I can see you moving slightly. All right, I can see what.
Stop! You're moving. Yeah.
All right,
So
we're gonna keep
your
going.
fingers are twitching. See,
is
you
that
don't
finger
have
twitching?
you don't. Yeah, okay.
All right,
You don't have those surgeon's hands.
Wow. So we're gonna open our scene here with a exterior shot of a solar system. You see kind of imagine if you were a ship traveling into the solar system from the zenith of the sun. And I'm gonna drag you guys over to this brand new map, and you will see the local system that you find yourselves in. And as we watch, we see two of these, well, to put it plainly, two of these Leopard class dropships traveling from that zenith point of the star towards the second planet from the exterior, the second planet, a planet known as Exeter. This is the only habitable world inside the Exeter system, and the location of one of your allies' contacts, as it were, one of your friends, Yinny's old friend, a contact by the name of Kelly. He is a merchant man on the planet, which she believes he may have some work for your brand new mercenary company. So as we watch these two Leopard class dropships make their way traveling, we zoom into the Stropo, where all of you have gathered to discuss what the game plan is, what you guys are going to be doing moving forward as far as being a mercenary company of sorts. And you see you've got a little image of the two Leopard class dropships above the table, which has been fixed by Cyprian. Cyprian, you were able to fix the table. Your father didn't muck it up too badly. And now you see a little planet just slowly spiraling there. Digital little holodeck and the two Leopard class dropships, as well as the moon of this planet as well. The Sergeant Major is staring at the holographic image of Exeter just slowly rotating in front of you. And he finally speaks up after a few moments of silence, having gathered you all here. So, what are we going to call ourselves?
I came up with like a semi-decent name a while ago, but I've already it's the name of our sergeant's what was it? It was his last stand, right? But I don't remember the name
Oh,
off the top of my head.
it's up here. Hang on. I'll
'cause-
search.
Everhart's
Yes,
last
please.
stand.
Everhart's Last Stand.
Yeah, there we go. That might be pretty good. I also like Oak Grove Solutions, just because that sounds very technical and mercenary like.
It sounds like an old person's home.
Or a furniture shop.
That actually gets a very uncommon chuckle out of your father. He doesn't look to you, but he just lets out like two quick.
I still think we should call ourselves Willow's Defenders.
That's off the table.
Yeah, Cyprian will jump in and be like, "We're not calling ourselves Willows anything."
What about Willow's best friends?
If you had any of those. But I digress. So, on the table, I believe it's Oak Grove Solutions, and he kind of grimaces at that a little bit, as well as something Last Stands. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That
It
would
was
be
Everhart's.
Everhart.
Yeah. Willow will lean over to Cyprian and say, "Your dad's harsh."
Oh,
Will Cyprian will just sort of raise his eyebrows in a, yeah, I told you.
I mean, I guess that really depends on what kind of image we want.
I think we should call ourselves Kentari's Sons, but spell sons with a U, like a play on sons and sons. Listen, it makes sense. Just write it down.
Or what about something like Dressari's Revenant?
Who's Dressari?
The Duke?
The Duke.
The man we used to work for?
Seems so
was
on
his
the
name?
nose for Willow. That's
That's
hilarious.
beautiful.
He's the guy who used to
Sign
send you
your
your
check.
paycheck.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was the sergeant.
No, he was your boss.
Well, the sergeant did technically endorse the checks when they
Uh,
came
I
in.
never did get
I suppose.
direct deposit set up, so I had to get a check from the sergeant every week.
And Lawrence will perk up and say, and that is why we choose Everhart's Last Stand.
Honestly, I like all of them.
There's no real way to mash them all together, so we'll have to pick one.
Yeah.
A mercenary's
would be
name, a mercenary company's name should instill, as Callum put it, confidence. It should instill a desire to call upon them.
What about the Everhart Sons?
Oh, that's a good one.
An eyebrow raises at that on your father. And once again, you're getting this, he laughed and he never laughs. And now he looks almost proud of that statement.
Cyprian, you could have a future of marketing.
Everhart's Sons.
Sons spelled with a U because of sons, and it's like sons.
Yeah, I'm glad you understand.
And it makes sense.
I like
Yeah.
it. Well, if everyone's in agreement, I can submit to the mercenary board and we can go legit. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
I
Very well. All right, Evanhart's Sons. Let's go find our first mission. Dismissed. And he is going to depart. You're welcome to stay and chat amongst yourselves for a little bit, but the Sergeant Major does leave the room. So, curious, do you all have anything to say to each other after that? Or would you like to just press on?
I can't believe I have to work for my paycheck now.
Did he laugh? I've only known him for a few weeks, but
I've
never
known
seen him
my
so much
entire
as
life, and I've
crack a
never seen
smile.
that.
I don't know. I think he's got quite the humor in him. Did you see how he roasted me? No one without any humor could do that.
You and I have very different versions of humor.
That might be true. I can't. I mean, you're kind of a weird guy.
Well,
think-
I'm not going to deny that.
I think the
He
more
will-
pressing issue is where are we going to get our mechs repaired exactly? Your Centurion, and I'll point at Willow, and I'll just say, is still torn the hell up unless they've already been fixed.
No. I think the technical term you're looking for is fucked up. Cyprian, could you back me up on that? Is that the technical term?
If you want that to be the technical term, then it will be the technical term.
That sounds applicable to me.
Cyprian will notice a slight jittering in the hollow, and then we'll go underneath the desk and start messing
And you
around
know-
with tables.
I've been thinking, Willow, about kill markers. Every time, typically traditionally when you make a kill, you get a tally. I think for you, every time you trash your own battle mech, you should get a tally.
I'm okay with that.
From under
I
the
have-
table, Cyprian will shout out, "Yeah, but he has to keep all of the parts that get broken."
Yeah, I'd have just as many tallies as Lawrence over there, which is more than you two.
I have not lost a single mech. I have tallied up 5 mechs killed
Yeah,
and no mechs crippled.
my point's
I
standing.
one-shot-
I'd have more
I one-shot-
tallies than the other two.
This is
Cyprian
true.
will shout that he one-shotted that big bastard.
That's true, but
That's
I still
it.
have 2
That's
tier
it.
1.
That's at least 3 for the big one.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I think it still only counts as 1. It's still 1 machine.
Warhammers are hard to put down. They're common for a reason.
Plus, really, my thing isn't really getting kills; it's more assists. I guess I'm like the playmaker.
Overall, I think it's honestly juvenile. And all you're asking there, in that case, is you're asking for somebody to pick a fight with you. I say we go unit numbers, clean paint jobs, However you want to decorate, that's it. But I suggest we avoid the kill marks. They don't inspire fear. They inspire agitation.
Oh, I was just taking a shot at Willow.
Yeah, I was really hoping to keep going. It's very I don't see Callum like engaging in this sort of thing. It's sort of my area of expertise. I was just really seeing how far he could go.
Well, the sergeant always said you're a bad influence.
Ah, yes. That's the best compliment he ever gave me.
The mention of the best compliment he ever gave me. The comm. There's a little like comm box by the door, so that anyone that's calling for someone.
Intercom.
The intercom, as it were, it crackles and it's kind of cutting in and out like Anders was earlier. So it's kind of like a strobe or like a rave. It's like Cal, could you meet me on bridge? Damn it! Why isn't this thing working?
Cyprian will slide out from under the table and go, "Why does nothing on this ship work properly?"
Because it's a merchant ship.
Yeah, if I had to guess, they're poor as shit and they didn't do repairs.
Well,
Plus, the ship
close.
is bound to be multi-centuries old. It's surprising that it even holds air.
There is a noticeable shudder in the ship, and everyone has to grab onto something, as that's
Yep.
mentioned. And it kind of feels like the ship's maybe slowing down, is what you felt.
Well, I guess we're going to the bridge.
Well, considering that I couldn't tell who they were asking for, then we might as well all go.
Mm-hmm.
Cyprian, you're going to stay down there, or you join us on the bridge?
I'll see if I can fix this intercom.
Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And as
Fantastic timing.
Willow, Callum, and Lawrence head off to the bridge, Cyprian is left to his own devices in the meeting room, and I'd like to stay with you for a few moments as you are working on this. Are you working on the intercom, correct?
That's the latest thing that was broken. So
I like where your mind's at. So you are working on this intercom, and you're like right by the door, putzing around with it, and you hear someone like boop 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 booping the little lock mechanism outside, and then it slides open, and standing in the doorway is none other than the slightly less hobbling but still showing signs of a little bit of a limp Bruce Grayson. And he looks upset in this moment. He looks frustrated, and it seems like he might have been looking for maybe a place to go hide. And as he steps through, his face is moist with tears, and you can see just blatant frustration on his face. And as he steps through the doorway, not noticing you at first, he says, "I'll never fucking get it right. I'm a useless Cyprian, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were in here."
Oh, it's fine. You okay?
Yes, sir. Fine, sir. Thank you, sir. And he gives you like a little half salute, stumbling a little bit as he does so.
Cyprian will sort of continue working on the thing, but gestures to one of the person-sized lockers and goes, "I find that the lockers are a pretty good place if you want to
freeze and
disappear
disappear in a few minutes." Okay. And he actually gives you a small smile, nods his head, and then he moves over and he opens up one of the lockers, looks back at you for a moment, and then slips inside. And from inside the locker, you can hear very faint and very muffled little crying. And he just seems a little upset with his life. But yeah, good shit. We'll leave that there. We pivot over to the bridge of the Stropo. And on the bridge, we have the commander, the captain of the Stropo, hanging out, doing his thing. And that is Captain Upshire. And he's at the helm, flying the ship, doing his thing. But on the bridge, by the comm station is Yinny, and she appears to be just wrapping up a conversation, and you hear someone's voice that you haven't heard before. But he's speaking. He's very gregarious. He's very excitable, and he's like, "Ah, Yinny, it's so good to hear from you. Oh my god, you know what? I never thought I'd see you again. When I heard you'd become a mech pilot, I was like, never gonna hear from her again. But it's great to hear from you. Also, so sorry about the whole, every one of your friends dying. That does suck. But yeah, I mean, we actually do have some potential work for a, down on the luck mercenary company. I mean, I can't pay you too much, but if you need a place to maybe lay low for a little bit of work, yeah, I could definitely get you hooked up. I do gotta tell you though that there's some chatter. There's some chatter out there. Not chowder, chatter. Although I do love good chowder, but there's some chatter out there on the comms saying that they're looking for remnants of any of the Kentaris 4's military. So I don't know. I might keep yourselves a little bit on the low, but yeah, you've always got a home here with me, Yinny, and we'll see you soon. Kelly out, and boop. Sounded like it was maybe like a recording. And Yinny nods her head, and she's like, "All right, at least that's somewhere." Oh, hey everyone, welcome. I've got some good news to share with you. And from the cockpit, you hear the pilot, Upshire. He's like, "All right, just hold together, baby. You can do it. It's just another run." And the ship shakes again a little bit. But Yinny looks to you all and says, "I've got good news. We've got a contract and a place to, well, lay low for a while while we get our mechs repaired."
Oh, good. How much cheddar, though?
Chowder? What?
Cheddar?
Cheddar?
Cheddar. There's
Cheese?
so much cheddar that I overheard.
Chatter.
I like cheddar.
He said chatter. There's chatter
No,
about.
I heard cheddar.
Yeah, no.
Extra sharp would be my preference.
No, there's no. What? Huh?
Yeah. You ever had extra sharp cheddar? Aged 4 or 5 years? It's very good.
She looks confused in this moment. She looks a little confused. But she goes on to explain to you that her old contact, this mercenary that works, this merchant that works mostly on mining in the local region, the solar system of Exeter, there's one, the actual planet Exeter, there's the only truly habitable planet, but there are multiple other planets that contain rich resources. So most of Exeter's economy comes from mining these other planets. And based on the conversation that she's had, it's been just back and forth, not live communication, just more of like messages back and forth with him. There are a number of these pirate type organizations that have been hitting some of the mining operations on some of these other planets, and they've been looking for someone to come in, clean them up, and allow mining operations to return to normal. Unfortunately, Exeter being kind of this little, like, small, really not necessarily on the beaten path planet, they haven't been able to get anyone from any of the major military organizations. Also, it appears that there may be a civil war happening in the Federation. So their requests have been met with deaf ears, unfortunately. So they're excited to be able to have, and have also offered it's going to come out of the potential pay, but they're willing to repair your mechs for you. It just means you probably won't make as much as you would otherwise. Also, you're a no-name mercenary company, so it is what it is. But it is work, which is a good thing.
It beats having to foot the bill for the repair ourselves.
She nods.
As long as it gets us repairs and enough to pay the jump ships and drop ship crews and get us out of here when we need to.
Well, that's what I wanted to bring everyone together and discuss, actually, Yinny says. And she looks around. Is Cyprian not coming? I asked for everyone to be on the bridge.
The comm was busted. He's fixing it.
Right.
He gets distracted. You know how he is.
Yeah. She says, it doesn't matter. It's fine. So here's what I'm thinking. And I want to run this by all of you. Obviously, I mean, we're all in this together. And don't get me wrong, I respect the Sergeant Major being... I know there's no bosses. Wait, Cyprian's not here. I respect him being our boss. But I think we could establish something here, at least for a time being. Based on what Kelly shared with me, it seems like there are a number of well, let's see here. Number of... Oh, apparently I have the game set to Hunt Showdown. Hilarious. I'm so professional today. This is going really well, everybody, by the way. Let me go ahead and update that really quick. But she states that she thinks that you guys could hang out here for a time and maybe work with them for a while and, maybe make some money and at least build up a little bit of reputation before, heading off to bigger and better things. She just wants your opinion.
Well, I guess it depends on our long-term goals. Our long-term goals seem to be get back to Kintaris, liberate Kintaris, get it out from underneath the iron heel of... Would it be an iron high heel? You think she wears high heels? Probably. She's noble, she's fashionable. The iron high heels of Catherine. So we would need some sort of static base of operations, some way to gather our forces. It's a long road, a lot of stuff to do. And we need somewhere either out of the way where we can stockpile and grow without too much attention to ourselves, or someplace central where we can get a lot of influence and power together quickly.
Yeah. If we do plan to go back to Kintaris, we're definitely going to need more firepower. A lot more.
Well, that's what I wanted to discuss as well. Look, I mean, right now, the only thing that's really important is surviving, getting our mechs back up and running, making a few C-bills, and then we can decide. But I guess my question is, what is our game plan here? What is our long-term goal? Is it to just survive? Is it to go back to Kintaris? I mean,
that really inopportune moment, Cyprian will press the com button.
And it
in the
works, and
room.
you
He'll
catch
be
the
like,
tail end of
"There
that.
you go, guys."
Still not working. It's kind of working, but not really.
It's
Perfect timing.
That was perfect timing for you to cut in and out. I loved it. But what did you say, Cyprian? I kind of only caught the tail end.
yeah, literally just I fixed it, but
Yeah.
obviously apparently not very
Yeah.
well.
So it's fixed and then it breaks again. So you'll have to continue to work on it, but it does cut out for a second. But you guys all heard Cyprian be like, "I fixed it," and then it cuts out.
Mm.
I
Wonderful.
don't think he's fixed it.
I think he's maybe doing a bit of a Sisyphean task over here.
Wow. This old merchant hauler. I mean, cut corners, and they don't have a military budget to keep this thing in repair, so
I heard that, says the captain.
wasn't trying to hide it, sir.
Fair enough. And he goes back to piloting the ship. That's hilarious.
Don't worry, if everything goes well, you'll have some C-bills and we'll get this ship back up and running.
Might even be able to get him a laser.
All
Ooh,
right.
That'll be nice.
So it sounds like, if I'm hearing you guys correct, I mean, the goal is to eventually go back to Kintaris, but I don't think that we should. And Yinny's kind of a little reserved about this, but she doubles down on it and states, I mean, really, what's there for us? Our friends are dead, our sergeant's dead, the military's destroyed. We'd be going back to fight the entirety of Katrina's forces. It even if we took years to build up a mercenary company, we're no match for an entire military force. I think we should cut our losses, focus on building up our own company, and make our ways. We're not beholden to anyone. We're only beholden to ourselves and what we want. And sure, if we can strike back against her in certain times, that's great, but we lost. And I think we should just accept that.
Yinny will, Cyprian will cut in on the com and say, "You're thinking too small. You're thinking too short term, Yinny. We're out making our own way, or at least we're going to try. And we're not underneath anybody's heel, but everybody else on Kintaris is. What about them?"
they're unfortunately going to. That's just an unfortunate reality. We can't do much about it right now.
No,
We
Exactly.
have
Not
to
right now.
regain.
we can't, but
We can
There-
join up with the Federated Sons and Victor Steiner Davian's forces later, but right now we're just barely 2 lances and two dropships. We're not much to any military force.
no.
We're a lot to pirates, but we're not much to anybody else.
But I mean, for right now, right now, if Catherine is looking for remnants of the military, then she hopefully won't be hassling the civilians. They're typically beneath the notice of the nobility anyway. They'll be okay while we get our bearings. And until we can link up with a larger force under the rightful ruler of that planet, then we have to go our own way.
Also, not to toot my people's prowess too much, but as bad as many Lyran leaders have been, it's not like the Combine or the Capellan Confederation. It's hardly a dystopian nightmare. It's awful, the civil war that's happening, and I'm sure Catherine will be an awful despot. But I haven't heard, even in the Lyran worlds that she holds, I haven't heard any massacres like what you hear occasionally happening in clan space or in the Combine in history. The civilians will largely be left alone. They'll be under a boot heel, and they won't be under an elected ruler, but they will be alive when we come back.
Under his breath, as though he's forgotten that he's still got the button on the comm, you'll hear Cyprian like mutter under his breath, "This whole thing's a dystopian nightmare."
So I've got a couple of questions I want to ask everyone. Callum, I'm going to start with you. Callum, how did you get into the employ of the Dukes, the organization that we were a part of before this?
It was a program sponsored by the Federated Commonwealth to help refugees displaced by the clan invasion.
Mm-hmm. Now, we all know this. I'm just asking because I think we all need a reminder that Callum has already had this happen to him before. And how do you feel about this happening again to you?
Well, surprisingly enough, it's a lot easier the second time.
Probably a lot easier that you had a mech. You could try and do something about it. I mean,
Exactly.
you failed, but you tried to do something about it. But you're up against odds that were not beatable to begin with. So you shouldn't beat yourself up for it.
I'm not.
That's what I like about you. You don't take things too hard.
I mean, but believe me when I say there's nothing I'd like more than to be able to go back and settle with the people on Kentaris that did this. That's why I hope one day we can. But that, may as well be trying to get to another galaxy right now.
Sure, right now. But, we can't do it if we're going to stand here and go the wrong direction or not go anywhere at all. We gotta move forward in order to get anywhere.
Yeah.
Lawrence, believe me when I say that this situation, and I don't know how you feel about the Lyran half of the Federated Sons starting this civil war, and I know that must weigh on your conscience a little bit, and know that I trust you implicitly. You've pulled my butt out of the fire too many times for me to ever doubt you. But I understand that it must be difficult for you to even think about fighting Lyran forces, no matter the context.
does affect how I'm thinking about this war. But they have chosen to follow a, what's the term in English?
A bitch.
Yes, but there's an actual literary term for it. They have chosen to follow a false ruler. Victor Steiner Davian is the clear ruler of this commonwealth.
Yinny
And he
pipes
should have
in,
been- and
but
he-
didn't he relinquish his right to rule when he joined Comstar?
He did.
Look, I
The
have no
point
love
is
for
that-
Katrina, but Victor gave up his right. He became the Comstar general or whatever. Maybe we're on the wrong side of this. That's all I'm saying.
Well, Yinny, what do you think? If we're on the wrong side of it, should we join up with Katrina, the people who just killed all of our friends and sacked our
No,
entire
that's
our
not what I'm
planet?
saying. I think I just don't. Look, I don't want to end up like the rest of our friends. Okay, so sue me.
I'm not going to, because that's rational. That's normal. You're scared,
Also, don't
and
think
that's
we can
fine.
afford lawyers.
That gets a chuckle from Oakshire. He's like, we are broke. Classic.
You're scared, and that's fine. I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't scared too, and I'm going to lie to you and say I'm not scared. But that's just what I do. You have to understand. But that doesn't necessarily mean that staying out of the war is the right decision either, or even choosing a side is the right decision. You're right. We're on our own, and we're our own masters. And I think that's the right decision. But we have to have a goal, or we'll just aimlessly wander space. And I think it's pretty safe to say that the goal isn't to dispose Katrina or get involved in this war. The goal is to make sure that we have a home to go back to. Something worth fighting for. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like a paycheck as much as the next person. But nothing against Yopeshire, but I don't think I'd want to live on a spaceship for the rest of my life.
It's not so bad. I mean, you got lots of metal around you. You can go where you want to go. It only falls apart sometimes. You know, it's good. It's good. It's like living in a mobile home, basically, except the mobile home's a giant spaceship that carries around mechs and stuff. So, you know, it's good. It's good. Also,
Ups and
second the
downs.
whole paycheck thing. Yeah, would be great.
But for some of us, like Cyprian on the comms over there, it's a little bit more than that. And I'm sure, still has family down there. Grandparents, nieces, nephews, people that couldn't get out. That's important.
In this moment, Willow, there is I hesitate to use the word cell phone, but there's a small data pad that you've carried with you since your past, since the other times of your history, and you always have it on you. You haven't used it in years, but there is this, like, you know that feeling, and it always came from a very particular person from your past, and there is a small vibration that it almost startles you, and it vibrates once, then twice.
What was right. 1 second, and we'll pull out this data pad that no one has ever seen before.
Yeah.
It's just a data pad.
And as you pull it out, there is a message from someone that calls themselves Mad Dog. You know who this is, Willow. It's from it's from your past. From the Vuel. That was the leader of the Vuel. And it's just a simple 2-sentence little email to you directly. Hi, Willie. Hope you made it out of Kantaris alive. Give me a call. And it just says Mad Dog.
Right. Yeah. Saying, right. Cyprian's family and everything. Listen, to cut everything short, there's more importance to Kantaris than just a bit being a battleground, and I think Callum and Lawrence can take it from here. I've got to handle something, and he just walks away.
Everyone, I would say you would notice the sudden change in Willow's demeanor. And Willow, what did you look like as you walked away from that moment? Did you look shaken? Did you look distracted, upset? How did you look in that moment?
Willow is the kind of person who walks around with sort of looking at everything slightly down his nose at the world, but he is walking out of this room with his head pointed at the floor.
So a very obvious, very, very obvious. I like that. So as he exits the room, it leaves the rest of you there for a moment to discuss, continue the conversation, comment on what's transpired. But what would you guys like to do? What would you talk about?
Right. So getting back to what Willow was saying. Yinny, I think the thing that we need right now is solid ground beneath our feet. We need a place to stand first before we can try to walk anywhere. So we'll hit Exeter. We'll stay here until we outgrow it. Then we move on and we find another place until we outgrow that place. And we do that until one of two things happens. The wheels fall off, or we find a place of our own.
She nods.
And maybe we help, maybe we help either Kataris along the way as much as we can. But I think it's time for all of us to start fighting for ourselves.
And
I
Yinny,
second that
Yinny,
idea.
Yinny nods, and she kind of looks relieved, for lack of a better phrase. She looks relieved in this moment, and good. Then it sounds like we're all in agreement. I'm gonna reach out to Kelly. I'm gonna let him know that we'll be there. We'll be there shortly, and good. Yeah, that's good. Good.
And
Yeah.
And you need to tell them any pirate machines that we take down, we get first dibs on.
Right, that's actually that's a good point. Yeah, that's absolutely. She looks
If he
so
can't,
surprised.
if he can't pay us much,
Yeah.
then
You want the
we're gonna
salvage?
need to supplement what he can't give us with what we can take for ourselves.
I like it. She goes, yeah, that's what. Why didn't I think about that? Logistics. Woo. Oh man, that's good. Okay, good. She looks so surprised that everyone basically just agreed with her, and by basically I mean actually agreed with her assessment, and that's fantastic. So as we pivot away, I'd like to follow Willow. Willow, where would you go after the meeting on the bridge?
Willow would move as quickly as possible. That isn't just below running to his quarters.
Quarters. I love it. All right, so we're gonna pivot you over to basically the barracks of the dropship. So let me get you guys over there. And you've got some quarters. Most of them are shared, but they would normally be shared. But since there's not enough people on the vessel, it's just going to be you in your quarters, and you're down there. Last door on the right as you head down that area on the port side of the vessel, and you zip inside, and there's a little blinking light on this data pad. Basically stating that this message is waiting a response. You haven't marked it as read yet, although you have read it. What is Willow doing in this moment?
First thing he does is lock the door. And then he will collect himself. So And then if there is there like two-way communication? Is this thing datapad can be used as a like a phone, or is it like intergalactic email?
It would be like intergalactic email in this moment.
All
Yeah.
right. Then he will email, and he will put instructions in the email in code that he knows that Mad Dog would understand, to a way to contact him once he gets to Exeter.
Okay. So letting Mad Dog know where you're going. I like it. I like it. I like it. All right. That's probably not going to be anything bad. That's good. That's good.
Well, I
like
mean,
that.
he can't call me if he doesn't know where I am.
Sure. Sure. So as the message goes out, it's not instantaneous. Like, this message could have been sent weeks ago, so it'll take some time to get a response and to actually reach them. But yeah, the message goes out, the little light stops blinking, and there's then a knock on your door. Just a light kind of knock, and you hear the sergeant major kind of clearing his voice. Willow, are you in there?
Yes. Hold on. I'll come out, and I'll unlock the door and come out.
He gives you a once up and a once down, and he looks not perturbed, but he looks very serious in this moment. I'm understanding, based on conversations with the rest of the Lance, that you were the leader of the Lance back in Delta Company. Is that correct?
Yeah, more or less.
I'm curious if that's still a position you'd like to hold within the mercenary company.
Sure. Yeah, they're pretty good. They know what they're doing. They usually don't need too much guidance, but sometimes I can point them in the right direction. Get their zeal pointed at the right targets.
You mentioned the right targets. You're kind of talking up the Lance, and he just looks very stone cold in this moment. What is your assessment of Cyprian?
He's a competent mech pilot. He's maybe trying a bit too hard. Does some flashy stuff, but for the most part, he gets results.
And that's your professional assessment?
Yeah. So as professional as I can get. But I can get into his father complex and all this other stuff if you really want to. I'm not exactly a licensed therapist, but I
He
know
puts
people.
up his hand. That's enough, Willow. I'm promoting you to lieutenant. You'll be in command underneath me of the mech company. Don't let it go to your head. And then
Too late, sir.
turns on his heel and walks off, not saying anything. Just walks away from you, leaving you to yourself. And does anyone else have any other scenes, any other conversations with any NPCs, other players they'd like to have during this particular day? Because there's going to be a couple of days traveling from the Zenith off to the actual planet where you'll be in orbit of it. I'm curious if anyone has any other scenes they'd like to do.
I want to go and knock on the little door of the locker.
Okay.
Actually, I want to interject because Callum is actually going to go looking for Bruce, because I feel like because Anders and I talked about it, that we're sort of handling getting them acquainted with mech cockpits and things like that, and neuro helmets. And
I
so
absolutely love that.
I'll go with Callum on that.
So the two of you are going to head off looking for Bruce. You've checked his little room. He's not in there. You can't even find his sister. Well, you do end up finding the sister. She's actually in the cockpit of the one mech, the light mech, that's been transformed into a kind of
makeshift simulator.
And she's actually doing pretty well. I mean, for a kid, someone that's never been behind a mech, she's performing decently well. She has potential. Bruce has been struggling. He has troubles because of his one set of limp, and has troubles with the pedals on the mech. He's trying to compensate, but it's not going great. But he's got fire, he's got passion, but he's also got a lot of frustration and anger. But as we pivot back over to the dropship's meeting room, I'd like to give Cyprian a moment to go over to the little locker and knock on it, where you hear kind of a faint kind of like whimpering coming from inside, but it's died down over the last few minutes, as you spent fixing up and completing the repairs on that intercom. But what do you say?
So he will like lightly knock just with like the back of one finger on the, like not on the door so it echoes inside the locker, but just like on the trim around the edge.
All right. He
And
goes silent and then says, "What?"
you know, it's best if you kind of move between hiding spaces, otherwise people find out where your preferred hiding space is, and then eventually it's not a hiding place anymore.
No one knows that I'm in here except you. You're not going to tell anybody, will you?
No, but you know, maybe not always this hiding place. Pick a few hiding places. It's always best to have a few places to go and hide. Otherwise, you know, once somebody finds you the first time, they'll always
Give us
coming back.
give us a negotiations.
Oof.
If you don't have it, it's just 2d6 plus intelligence plus intelligence. Or is wait. Yeah, that's right.
Charisma, isn't it?
Charisma. I'm sorry, forgive me. Charisma. Yeah. He doesn't budge from the door. You can hear him slightly, maybe like move towards the back of the locker a little bit, and he says, "Well, if you don't tell anybody, then no one's gonna find me." And as Steve freezes,
Cyprian will just say, okay. Cyprian will say, okay, but eventually people will come looking and they will eventually find you. It's kind of what happens if you stay in one place.
you hear
And
the
then he'll
door
like,
open,
sit on the edge of the comm screen.
yeah, you hear the door open, and in walks Lawrence and Callum, who have been looking for Bruce. Yeah.
Cyprian, you seen Bruce?
Cyprian will pause for a couple of moments to see if Bruce says anything.
I would like Lawrence and Aaron to roll a D100. Before you roll, each of you tell me high or low on your individual rolls.
I'm gonna go low.
I'll go high.
I like it. Oh, nice. You do it too, Anders.
Yeah, I did. I just did. It says 18, so I failed.
Okay. So good news is, only need one of you to succeed on this random roll. You hear a small, tiny, childlike sneeze from inside the locker that that Cyprian is standing next to.
Cyprian will just
Freeze.
point.
And Callum will just sort of look at Lawrence, look at Cyprian, and say, all right, well, if you see him, just tell him that we're looking for him. I was going to get him fitted for the single pedal configuration on the mech to see how that works for him.
Yeah, we were also looking at adding more padding to the Noah helmet. Not that he's gonna be keeping it that same size, but you know, better to have the Noah helmet a bit snug than flop it around a lot.
Cyprian will say, oh, good idea with the single pedal configuration. And then presumably break up because it's saying that my internet's unstable.
No, you're right. You're still right here.
He'll say, yeah, good idea with the single pedal configuration, and then sort of gesture towards the locker and be like, how's he getting on with his pilot training anyway?
You know, pretty good for somebody who's, got to work that much harder just to be up to scratch. I'm pretty impressed with him, to be honest. But you know, he has a habit of disappearing when things aren't going his way without waiting for people to tell them what they're going to do to help him.
Give us a negotiations, Callum.
It's not gonna be. I mean, you only rolled a 6.
I only rolled a
That's
6. That's pretty good.
all right.
That's
All
not bad.
right.
That's not bad.
Hey.
Oh, nice. You hear Bruce's voice from kind of echoey and from inside the locker. And he says, do you really mean that? Do you think I could be a mech pilot one day?
Bruce, I wouldn't waste my time on you if I didn't.
A few moments pass, and you hear the locker just ever slowly. You can just see his little head, little blue eyes, his little like sandy, like white blondish hair kind of look out. You said you could change the cockpit to only have one pedal?
And Callum would just sort of incline his head to Lawrence and say, you're supposed to be level 1. I'm supposed to be the disciplinarian. We talked about this.
Yeah, but this means more coming from you.
Right, fair. Yeah, we're going to try it with the single pedal configuration. It's just we're going to need to use another one of the mechs to do it from, because I don't want to mix your sister up as well.
Okay. Can we try it now?
I mean, well, we're going to need to get it fitted. So we'll need you regardless. We'll have to take one of the mech techs and make the change.
Another creak as the door opens a little bit more. You can now see all of his upper torso. He's like kind of leaning out. Okay. Well, let's go. And then he kind of hops out, a little plop. Looks at Cyprian. Looks over at you. Leans into Cyprian and says, "Thanks for not giving me up." And walks over.
Cyprian will lean in and be like and say, yeah, but you still need to find more hiding places next time.
Then he nods and he smiles and he looks a little happier. He looks a little more sure of himself in this moment. And so I'd like to follow with Lawrence and Callum. Would you head down to the mech bay to start some of this training? Where would you guys go? And would Cyprian want to come with them as well?
Yeah, I think we should go at least like check out how the retrofit in the cockpit is going.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine that they're gonna get it. Well, they probably could actually get it set up. I can't imagine that a cockpit is that hard to mess around with, given how injured mech warriors get all the time.
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
Says the guy who was drawing stick figures with big stick figure machine guns.
He knows it's possible. He doesn't know how to do it. It's a big difference.
So I ask, would Callum want to come with the others down to the mech bay?
Oh yeah, I mean, I was going anyway.
And I mean Cyprian, excuse me.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, Cyprian will follow along, but like not part of the group, just sort of like behind, just observing.
Just heading over
Yeah.
there. And
I
like
think just for appearances on the way down, Callum will readopt the sort of cold indifference that he's been displaying to both of these children, and tell Bruce specifically, Bruce, are you skipping?
What? No, sir. I'm not. He was trying to skip. It wasn't very good. It was more like he was kind of hobbling. Yeah.
Mech warriors don't skip. It's undignified.
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. And he tries to straighten himself up a little bit, but there's still that slight hobble as he walks, his right leg being slightly, injured. But
Mech warriors are. He will say. Lawrence will just go. Mech warriors are allowed to gallop, though. So please feel free to gallop if you prefer to.
Technically,
he does his best to try to gallop.
It's allowed.
It's a little undignified as he does. But he's doing it.
I would say for a cadet of your aptitude, I would allow for a reserved candor.
He looks very confused as to what that means.
If you don't know what that word means, don't try to do it.
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir.
A jaunty trot is also acceptable at this point in your
Sir, I'm
budding
not sure what
career.
that means. I'm very confused, sirs.
If you don't know what it means, don't try to do it.
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. And as you guys enter into the mech bay, or the retrofitted mech bay, more of a, like, storage ship for this merchant transport that's been very quickly retrofitted. Surprisingly enough, you don't hear Dina cursing under her breath. You actually see her working with a few of the other minor mech techs on some very slap together repairs on the Hellhound, and from the cockpit of one of the light mechs, the Wolfhound, that's been retrofitted into this simulator. You actually
There's
hear...
that D100 roll.
What's that?
I said there's Lawrence's D100 roll finally.
That's perfect. That took forever to come through. But we actually hear Sam shouting. But it's shouts of victory. She goes, "Yeah! Count that son of a bitch! Yes! Awesome! God, this is so cool! I'm gonna be the best mech pilot ever!" And from down on the floor underneath the Wolfhound, you all would hear the mech tech. You would hear Tom say, Right. Well, don't get too full of yourself. It's just a simulation. And I mean, I'm no mech pilot myself, but, actual combat's a lot different. The computer can only do you so much. She goes, "I killed 3 of them! Three of them! 3 of them went down! That was awesome! Oh my gosh, I'm so good at this!" And she's just like having a time. She's having an absolute time. And really enjoying herself. But you all enter into the mech bay, and yeah. How do you approach this situation?
Lawrence, do you want to crush her dreams, or should I?
Rochambeau for it.
All right. Let's
We
just
can
let's do it.
Rocham.
Oh yeah, okay, all right.
Okay,
Ready?
so do you want to just do rock paper scissors? Because I don't know actually how to do Rochambeau.
It's fine. Yeah, rock paper scissors is fine.
All right.
All right.
Ready?
Rock. 1,
paper.
2, 3.
All right.
Ah, you bastard. All right.
Yeah. So I will gently break her dreams.
That was the best thing I've ever seen.
It was
By the
actually
way.
fantastic. That was really good. That was wonderful.
I can do it because this is running on my cell phone data instead of fart
Yeah.
internet.
That's so perfect.
So Lawrence will go over to her, and
She's climbing
very
down
well
that little
done.
chain ladder out of the cockpit,
Mhm.
just like shaking from excitement. And
Mm-hmm.
Tom is wiping his hands with a rag, and is just kind of slowly shaking his head. He sees the 3 of you approaching. Sees Cyprian up on the little ramp area, the little platform, the catwalks, as it were, and nods to the 2 of you. And then, seeing the determination on Lawrence's face, he kind of like grimaces for a moment and then turns away to walk towards Callum and Bruce to update you guys on the 1 pedal modification.
all right. So I will get this scene done first, and I will look over her battle ROM, like the data from the actual battle that she was in. Like, what were the specifications?
So it was her and the Wolfhound fighting a full lance of other additional light mechs, and she took out 3 before her mech was destroyed. But it was decent, but she was very aggressive, almost like a child would be. Like, she just ran in there, started shooting. There was little to no tactics to it, little to no regard for her own well-being. It's almost like she was treating it like she was in a video game or a simulator, as it were. But if this was a real fight, she had a 50-50 chance of ejecting and actually surviving at the end.
Mm-hmm. So Lawrence will get down. Well, I don't have to really get down to her level because she's
she's like 16,
18,
17.
right?
She's like,
Okay.
She's like, yeah. She's
I don't have to be like stoop down.
Be like, all right, little girl. No, it's
Hey there, little buddy.
hey, buddy boys. Just like I don't know, like shake her pigtails or something, be like, hey, little girl. But no, you can. She's like just below eye level for you.
Okay. So Lawrence will look over and say, "These were impressive maneuvers until you got destroyed.
But I
I
took out
understand
3
that
of them. If I'd had a full lance with me, we would have won that fight.
Or," and he will show a specific point, and he spotted out very quickly where an urban mech got a lock on her torso, and then the gun jams. Like these she's relying on the fact that, oh, these, you know, her energy weapons don't jam. That's one of the good parts. And of course, autocannons can jam. Rarely, but they can jam. And she was just barely survived because that AC-10 round didn't rip through her center torso.
So that point in the
You'll
battle
put-
rom, that point is she'd taken down 1 mech, and because the battle rom decided that weapon jammed in that moment, that's what gave her an extra chance. Had it hit her in that moment, she would have gone down earlier. It's very
Yeah.
well stated. Yes.
And he will say, I understand that right now you do not know how to work inside a team, but you should learn to break this habit. I had this habit at your age when I was working as a cadet as well. Do not think that I am coming at this from a tut-tut. Oh, you're so incorrect. I know how thrilling it is to be in there, but you have to learn to break this habit soon, because it will not help you on the battlefield. I've seen many great ballerina dancers of mech warriors lose their life because they run away from their team and get killed by just an errant autocannon round or an errant PPC blast. You have to learn to curtail this.
Negotiations.
And it's good that you're.
Oh, go ahead, please. You have more to
Can
say.
I?
Or tactics.
I will just say, I'm going to ask if I can roll physical dice, because clearly the digital dice don't want to roll.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
But
man.
all right, cool. I do have physical dice on me,
We're
so
going old school. I like it. We're breaking all
Actual
the
Hell
rules.
yeah,
All the
bro.
rules today.
Crikey.
He's gonna be rolling boxcars every time. I know it.
Oh, look,
I mean,
another 12.
Whoa,
How-
another boxcars!
what are
Who
the
would
odds?
have guessed? Oh my god!
I wish you guys could see
I
this.
wish you could see
if
my dice. luck.
only. I did roll, so that would be charisma, right?
Yes,
Just charisma once.
Charisma. If you don't have negotiations or something, or tactics, if you want to.
All right.
Tactics.
That's a 11.
11, then you're good.
I do.
Yeah. How
Okay.
convenient that you beat the DC by 2. No, I'm just kidding. I don't care. So you can see her getting a little flustered in this moment. There's that almost childlike. She's trying to resist what her elders are telling her, but then she very quickly settles down before she even says anything. She doesn't argue, and she just says, "Yes, sir. I'm sorry, sir. I'll be more careful in the future, and thank you, sir."
I know you will. You are good. You are a good egg. And you are very talented, but you have to learn that talent isn't everything on the battlefield. You have to know tactics. And you will learn that. We will train you. We are, whether it be Callum, whether it be me, both of us are very good at this. And you will learn because you are smart and you are very able. But right now we are looking at getting your brother set up in cockpit. I hope you do not mind if you don't go back immediately.
She nods and says, "I could actually use a break. I haven't eaten all day. Permission to go to the galley, sir?"
Permission granted.
She
Get yourself an extra food ration as well.
Oh, she looks so excited. Oh, yeah, nice, awesome. I'm gonna have some of that dried cake. It's really good. And she like zips off to go head off to the galley. And we pivot back over to Callum, Bruce, and Tom. So Tom, he's still wiping his hands off. They're very like greasy, like almost like disgustingly greasy, and he's just trying to get it off. And he's like, "Damn, these things are fucking falling apart." Man, 1 month out of. Oh, hey guys. Yeah. So I've started those modifications with that mech and the single I mean, okay, so the way it's going to work is there's going to be a toggle on the joystick that will allow, well, Bruce here to toggle between forward and backwards. And
Um,
it's going to take some time, but I mean, it should work.
I mean, Tom, it's like it's an analog pedal, and it's sort of canted with the. So I've been hanging out with Cyprian a little bit.
Yeah.
And I had this thought. I don't know how we would do it, but I mean, in my mind, it could be done. What if, the pedal is sort of double long, and you press forward on it to move forward, and then you sort of put your heel on it and sort of force it down the other way, sort of in a seesaw motion between forwards and backwards. I feel like you'd have a lot more fine control of the throttle.
He looks at you, and you can see the gears in his head turning, and his expression says, "Why the fuck didn't I think of that?" But his words are, I mean, I guess maybe we could make that work. I mean, it takes some time to, undo the work that I've already done. But I mean,
Right.
yeah, I mean, it's an idea. It's a decent idea, I suppose.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we try it the way it is for now.
No.
And-
I mean, I
and
could
just see
do it. Just take me, a couple hours to redo.
I mean, I don't want to. I don't
Already
want to. I don't want to put you out, Tom. Like I know
I mean,
you're.
just.
I know you're probably not up to it, so it's fine if we just leave it the way
I
it
can
is.
make it happen. Let's do it. I mean, if you don't, I don't. Get
Can
it done
Cyprian
faster than
overhear
Dina.
Can Cyprian overhear this?
Yes, you can. And from across the mech bay, you hear Dina said, "Bullshit," and that's all she says. She's still working over there.
And presumably the idea put forward is better than.
Oh, 100% better than what Tom did. What Tom did is you have to use your thumb and then your foot, and it doesn't make sense. The rocking back and forth makes so much more sense.
So I want Cyprian to shout down a couple of ideas to things to assist Tom do it better.
Perfect.
Embellish on what the original idea was, and just make it a couple of tweaks, and just be
I was thinking, Tom, maybe if it's easier, we can get Cyprian, who is not a mech tech, to do this instead. If that would.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, man.
And we are back. We are back again. My computer decided to blue screen. Also, let's see here. Strom is the game master. And let me just do this. Cyprian, Willow, everyone's back to where they're supposed to be, kind of. And let me drag this over here. Okay. But we're back for part 2 of session 7. Oh my god, everything is breaking right now. That was so wild. It just was like blue screen, done. Yeah, let me double check my settings here really quick. Let me see if there's an extra memory usage. No, memory usage is at 14%, CPU's at 13%.
Sometimes Windows just says, "Yeah, shut it down."
Yeah, that was really weird.
Shut it down.
Just Windows has encountered an error and died. So yeah, maybe folks will come back. Maybe they won't. We'll figure it out. But yeah, where were we? We were talking about.
Oh, I was taking the piss out of Tom.
You were taking the piss out of Tom, and Tom, I believe, was about to respond to you, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I believe what I said was we can get Cyprian, who is not a mech tech, to do this if you don't think you're up to it, being a mech tech.
Tom has the expression like he's about to get mad, and he looks a little flustered in this moment, and then he starts laughing, and then he just breaks out laughing, and it just shakes his head and says, "You know what? I like you guys, and fuck, I needed a good laugh. You're taking the piss out of me, aren't you?"
Sure.
He's like,
Cyprian will shout up. Well, given your previous idea, I think you're taking the piss out of yourself at this point.
all right. It's all, everyone's pissing on Tom today. I'll make the modifications. Your idea was significantly better than mine, Callum. Cyprian, thank you for the additional advice. He looks over at Anders or Lawrence, and he says, "Go fuck yourself." And then he walks over, climbs up the mech, laughing to himself the whole way, and gets to work on the additional modifications. Bruce, who's been silenced this whole time, kind of squinting his eyes a little bit, and looks
Lawrence
over
would
up.
have covered his Bruce's ears while they were like ranting
Bruce
at each other.
Bruce looks a little confused, and Bruce looks back over at at Callum in this moment, and he says, "Is it normal to take the piss out of our mech techs? Is that something a mech warrior is supposed to do?"
You're far too new for such questions. So
Fair
we'll cover that when the time comes. Just know that mech techs, it's their job to complain about everything that you do with your battle mech
Mhm.
without having the first clue as to what goes on inside the cockpit.
Gotcha. He says, "So they're idiots
They'll-
that fix our stuff?"
No.
Cyprian will shout down from the top and he'll say, "No, the mech techs are valuable members of the team, and without the mech techs, the mech warriors would be entirely useless."
Yeah, exactly. And it's just that mech techs don't like the idea that the purpose of a battle mech is to shoot and be shot.
But if they didn't shoot and be shot, then what good would they? I'm really confused.
See, if you're confused by their behavior, that's why you're a mech warrior and not a mech tech.
Right. Okay, I think that makes more sense.
The only one who's got a handle on the way that they think is actually Cyprian.
Okay.
Why don't you go get some food with your sister?
And he nods and he goes, "Yeah, that I'm gonna go get some food with my sister. Can you let me know when the updates are done?"
Yeah, we'll use the intercom.
Hilarious. And as they head off to go and they head off to go get some food. I'm going to leave you guys alone with one another for a little bit of time. What would you guys be doing with yourselves during this little bit of downtime?
I think Callum is going to go over to his hellhound and hang on, I'm trying to find it's Dina, that's it. And it's just, Dina, what are you doing?
Dina doesn't say anything, but you see she has a really big blowtorch, like a mask on, and she's like trying to weld a random piece of metal onto one of the legs that was damaged, and it doesn't look like it's going well.
Dina, I don't know how to break this to you, but there's nothing wrong with that leg.
Shut up! I'm fixing it!
Okay, but I mean, it's the torso's worse off. Just so you know.
I can fix it later. It's fine. She's just in one of her moods, and it's just very, very edgy in this moment.
Okay, you don't normally work on my stuff though, so I'm a little concerned for your well-being.
I've been staying busy. It's fine.
Okay, all right. And Callum will just sort of like not turn and walk away from her, but just like walk backwards.
Mostly what's happening in this moment is there's slight scorch marks on the mech's leg, but no actual damage. She's in one of her moods. But I think I'd like to pivot back over to the dropship storage meeting room, the storage bay mech quarters. And let's see, Willow is in there. And dropping into that room are none other than the brother and sister duo themselves. One, Sam and Bruce Grayson. And they both pop in. They see Willow. They give you a little smile and a nod, and then head over to their own little private table, sit down, and start eating their rehydrated steak and cake, but are otherwise just talking quietly amongst themselves. Bruce seems really excited about this modification on his mech that's going to allow him to pilot, and he's just like super excited about it. And yeah, would you interact with them or keep quiet to yourself, my friend?
Willow will invite himself over and sit down on their table.
Mhm.
And how are you two doing?
Fine. Was something wrong?
Just want to get to know the two newest members of our company.
And Bruce looks a little quiet, and Sam looks a little quiet as well. And they both seem a little, I guess I would say, nervous around you, Willow, for some reason. And you haven't had a lot of like conversation with them. They've been mostly hanging out with Callum, Cyprian, and Lawrence, but they look a little nervous around you, and are kind of staying quiet to themselves. But they don't answer your question in this moment.
Oh, come on, I don't bite that hard. What kind of stuff have been Lawrence and Callum feeding you about me?
They don't say anything. Bruce looks like he's about to say something, and then Sam gives him the like don't say anything look. And I'd like you to make either negotiations, or I think you can use Streetwise has been our thing, but you can attempt to convince them to speak up.
Oh, come on, I don't bite that hard. And
Sam is trying to hush her brother, but Bruce, being the young and somewhat impetuous young child that he is, finally breaks his silence and says, Richie said that we're not to trust you.
well, that's a smart move, honestly.
Richie said that you're a chupacabra.
You want to try that one more time? I don't think that was the word he used.
And Bruce looks over to Sam, and Sam is like, no, that's what he said. He said you were a chupacabra. Bruce speaks up. I don't even know what it is, but it sounds terrifying.
Oh. Well, I can't believe he gave away my deepest, darkest secret.
You can have my second rations. I don't want it. Please don't eat me.
It's not what a chupacabra does. It eats farm animals.
I'm not a farm animal. I'm not a sheep. Please don't eat me.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. You're not a sheep.
And Sam actually starts laughing to herself a little bit, and looks over at her brother and says, Bruce, I can't believe you believed him. He was just fucking with you, right? And Bruce says, what? What do you mean fucking with me? He said that Willow was a chupacabra. It's like a vampire or something. And that he was a good mech pilot, but that we should stay away from him because they like to eat children. And I don't know. You guys making fun of me? And
Willow
Sam
will put his hand on his shoulder, like,
yeah. Oh.
yes, they're making fun of you. They're very much making fun of you. I am not a chupacabra.
And with that, I think that's a good moment to fast forward, unless anyone else has any other scenes they want to do prior to arriving on planet at Exeter. Unless there's anything else you guys want to do. No? Perfect. All right, so we are going to pivot over to the planet. And let me actually grab the local system so you guys can once again see where you're going. So you guys are now in orbit of Exeter. All right, and you take down the Stropo, which has kind of become the main dropship that most of you guys spend your time on. The Ltropo has become more of a like where the ammunition is stored, extra parts. A lot of the civilians are staying on there, but you've had some back and forth. You've docked with one another a few times to like transfer personnel, supplies, etc. But as we zip down, we come down to the planet of Exeter, and Yinny was actually in contact with her old friend Kelly. You've been in contact with them, and he's directed you to a small outpost away from any of the major cities, just a little, mining operation on this planet, kind of the main headquarters of Kelly's Mining Co. Because it's right on the nose. He's not very creative. Names are hard, as we discovered during scene 1 of today's session. Names are hard. But you are all allowed to dock. It's pretty bustling, for a mining operation. There's, lots of different supplies, vehicles, there's troops, quote unquote, but like, I guess employees walking around. You see a lot of like hardened looking miners, and they all look at you with a trepid curiosity is the expressions that you're seeing from them as you land. But you are welcomed into one of the warehouses, which is kind of a office slash, it's an office building for this one of the little stations. And you are welcomed in to a meeting room. And I'm going to take a moment just to drag everyone onto the map so that you guys can have your first meeting with none other than Kelly, Yinny's old pal. And let me get everybody on there. Callum, Lawrence, Cyprian, Willow, and I don't see any reason why the Sergeant Major wouldn't be there as well. But as you are welcomed into this little office area, the man who you come to find out, his name is Kelly. He walks up, he gives Yinny the biggest, most aggressive hug you've ever seen anyone do, grabs her around the waist, lifts her up, spins her around, is like, Yinny, you old bitch, how the hell are ya? Real sorry to hear about everything on Kintaris, but glad you made it out. Great to see. And you know what? It's so serendipitous that you arrived at this time. We've been dealing with these pirates. I mean, they've got a couple of light mechs, mostly some tanks and stuff. They've been hitting our operations, stealing some of my supplies. I mean, it's more of kind of like a mosquito bite, but I'm thinking like, if they don't get shut down why don't you introduce me to your friends? Who's the whole, is the whole gang here? Is this the mercenary outfit? I heard you guys don't even have a name yet, but that's the type of group that we're looking for. Because I'm going to be honest, like, I can't pay you too much, but I can pay you enough to make it worth your time. And seeing as you're kind of down and out of your luck, also likely being hunted by, he just goes on and on and on. He's got this like greasy used car salesman feel to him in this moment. But Yinny takes a moment to introduce everybody. She's like, this is Willow. He's the lieutenant of the Lance. Cyprian, he's a mech pilot. We got Lawrence over there. He and Callum are kind of heading up the training of some new recruits, and of course this is a sergeant major. He's in command of the entire company, and we've actually got a name now as well. You'll be hiring, and he motions towards one of you to give the name of the mech lance. She motions towards one of you.
Cyprian.
Freezes in person.
Cyprian lags out and
And
collapses on
we'll
the
look
ground.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yep. Go ahead, Cyprian. Try it again.
Cyprian will look at Willow with a look that says, do not say Willow's best friends or something stupid.
We're shit. What was I can't remember
Sons,
the
right?
oh, we're on the
Everhard Sons
Everhard
with a U.
Sons. I couldn't
Everhard
remember
Sons.
the guy's name.
Everhard Sons. So like ever, so like you're forever. There's a heart in there because mercenaries, you guys gotta have heart, right? Like your brothers in arms, and it's the sun because it's bright and it's bold. I like it. That is actually, I like it. And I just want to say to all of you, the
if you
entire
keep talking,
Lance,
we're gonna have to charge you some more.
I like you. You're funny. That's good. That's good. But I do want to tell you. I'm proud to be the first organization to hire a brand new mercenary company. And let me tell you, my letters of recommendation, they go systems wide. All right, systems wide. Systems to systems to systems. I know Exeter's not the biggest system. Said it 3 times. That's funny. That's comedy, right? That's humor. That's good. But what we lack for in size, we make up for in export economy, right? Export economy. One habitable system, well, planet in the system, but lots of planets with lots of resources, which is, I think, why pirates kind of like to, they hit us up. We're kind of overlooked by the majority government most times. Kind of got to handle things ourselves. But with that being said, I'm excited. I'm really excited to work with you here. I'm excited to really lay out the finer details of this contract. Yinny's been telling me about how excellent of a mercenary company for. And also, I just want to say condolences on the heavy losses you all suffered on Kataras. We've been hearing some reports out of there, a complete and total wipeout of all military personnel, other than those that sided with Katrina. Real heartbreaking, truly, deep down, condolences to you for your losses. Horrible. But hey, enough out of me with regards to pleasantries. Let's get down to business. I understand you guys can handle pirates. Am I right?
That's right.
All right. Now, one small slight stipulation. I just want to throw it out there. A little bit concerned about the request for, how do I put this? First dibs. Look, I think we could pay you fairly for your work. We're also willing to repair your mechs prior to this engagement. So I'm thinking second dibs on any sort of salvage. We get first dibs. And then, I think that's an even trade. What do you guys think? Yinny looks a little annoyed. The sergeant major leans back in his chair with an audible kind of freak, but he waits to see what all of you say.
So I'm sorry, Mr. Kelly. You are just extolling the virtues of your strong systems-wide export economy, and I just don't understand how you can tell us that you can't pay us too much, but you have a strong export economy, but you need this first salvage, but you also have so much influence that you can give us a letter that'll get us jobs systems wide. There's a little bit of inconsistencies in your story here. I think that it's fine with the amount that you're willing to pay us to take care of your pirate problem. And like you said, it's a mosquito. I'm sure it is just a mosquito bite for an export economy this large. So that's fine.
I would like to have you all make either in negotiations, like maybe a notice, like some kind of check. I want you to see if you can pick up something. You could use Streetwise, Strom. I want you all to make either a charisma, or intelligence check. Charisma being that you're picking up more on the kind of what he's saying. Intelligence being that maybe you're picking up on some basic things. But I'm going to go ahead and set the DC here at a 16.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
I can't beat that.
So
Hey,
I've got
With a boxcars you can, because boxcars is not a max success. So
someone force him to reroll at 5 and 6.
You could have me reroll at 5 and 6. You have lots of edge.
yeah, you know what? I'm gonna edge that one. You reroll that.
Much better. That turns that into 2, 5. That turns that into a 10. So Willow would make the check.
I'm gonna edge my own.
Okay.
So
okay.
I rolled an 8, which plus intelligence is a 10. So I beat it.
I love it. All right.
I've got protocol or investigation.
Investigation would work.
Okay.
Unfortunate, but let's see here. We've got Callum, Willow, and Lawrence pick up. This guy's bullshitting you. This whole it's a mosquito, it's worse. And looking back on your walking into this conference, this office building, I mentioned that there's some of these hardened looking miners. you look back on just the looks they gave you, this trepid intrigue. You also look back, and I know hindsight's 2020, but you're picking up on a little bit of fear. Some of them look like they've got some wounds. Some of them look a little beat up. And some of the equipment looked a little more run down. Maybe things aren't as good as this guy's letting off. And in this moment, maybe Willow, you're the one that picks this up. He's got a bead of sweat on his brow. His brow is very sweaty. And it's a telltale sign of someone either lying or, I guess, bullshitting you a little bit, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's why Willow's been going on and on about this great export economy.
Yep.
And so, yeah, Willow continues, says, now, I think what you're offering to pay us is fair if we also manage to keep what we kill, more or less. And we have different requirements for salvage than an outfit such as this. I think it is entirely fair that if we get first salvage, there should be plenty of secondary salvage that you should be able to pull up.
What if we meet in the middle and the Suns take first salvage on any downed battle mechs, and your mining
ships.
concern gets right? Yeah, of course, those two, and you get first dibs on any other equipment
And their facilities.
So Kelly looks intrigued at this proposition. And that bead of sweat gets to the point where it drips down the side of his face, but he doesn't seem to notice it. He's looking over at Yinny, and Yinny has an expression that states, "You son of a bitch. You're trying to extort us. How dare you? I thought we were friends." And this kind of greasy car salesman expression that he's been wearing on his face, this like wide, greasy smile, it softens. And he looks to Yinny, and his expression is now one of almost apologetic. And then he turns back to Willow, and he turns back to Callum, who's sitting to his right. Yeah, that sounds fair. You get first salvage on battle mechs, and we get first dibs on everything else. That's equitable. I think that'll work. Yeah. That sounds good. So, do we have a deal?
I think we've got a deal. We
Sergeant
got a
Major finally pipes up. We find these terms acceptable. So, Kelly, says the Sergeant Major, where's the first target? And with that, Kelly's going to tap the center table, and a holographic display of the system pops up in front of you. And I'm actually going to pivot you over to the system itself.
Willow's gonna elbow Cyprian, like, hey, look at that.
It's a pretty
Looks
nice
cool,
rig.
right?
So tapping on Exeter, he says, obviously, this is where we are. The planet Layman. It's uninhabitable, low atmosphere, etc., but it is very, very, very rich in precious metals. We've had 3 mining operations on the planet be hit recently. 2 bases were destroyed. One of them is still operational, but we lost contact with them. As far as we know, it's operational, but we did lose contact yesterday. We're worried that the pirates may have hit that facility as well. Our request and our goal is for you to head off, find where these pirates are stationed, wipe them out to allow our men and my workers to get back onto planet and resume their mining operations. It should be a pretty easy seek and destroy mission.
Do you have any idea of the size and composition of the enemy force?
He rocks his head back and forth. Reports that we got were spotty. They came in real fast, but it seemed like a lance, maybe 2 of light mechs, and maybe a dozen or so tanks.
What facilities have they been hitting? Are they concentrating in a specific area around Lyman, 6 Mile Grove, or are they hitting all the places in the system?
Lyman's been the heaviest hit. We've also had a couple of reports of spray and pray tactics on 6 Mile and Rain, but the heaviest hit places where it was on Layman and have been on Layman.
Is there any patterns to their attacks? Are they predictable on any schedule, or is it solely random?
It seems solely random. They were probing our defenses. They found the 3 facilities on the planet that were the least defended, and, well, I don't know what happened to my people there. We've had no contact in over 2 weeks.
Sorry for your loss.
Good statement.
Cyprian wants to press them on injured and how many people might have got out. Is there any survivors, contact with family that might be on Exeter, those sorts of things, rather than focusing on the enemy parts?
So he shakes his head no, but you're getting the impression that he's hiding something. And I'm going to let you carry that roll you made earlier. He still looks really nervous, and he shakes his head no, but you get the feeling like there has been some contact. He just doesn't want to talk about it. So if you want to press him, you can, but it would require negotiations or a streetwise. And I rolled a 6. So
Can I give you a protocol to
yeah,
because I want to kind of focus on the
Yeah.
humanitarian side of
Yep,
things
yep,
rather than.
Absolutely, you can do that. Fantastic meter beat. That's so good. So how do you press in on him? Because you're getting the impression from him that he is hiding something, that there is more to this hit and run tactics, that the look of the workers outside, the degraded look of some of the machinery, the downtroddenness of some of the people here. It looks like they're a little bit like on hard times right now. Is the impression you're getting?
Yeah, Cyprian's going to ask him about the workers that are here on Exeter and their family. Have they suffered any losses, and how are people holding up?
Well, everyone's
it must
fine.
be really-
We're doing great. There's no issues. I mean, all we needed to have happen is these pirates, these pirates have to, they just have to be sorted out, and we'll be fine.
Everybody needs to pull together. We can only succeed in this operation and in life if we all work together and help one another.
I want to just point out, make sure that everyone heard that. He almost said the
Willow,
word
Willow's about to comment
Kidnappers?
on that.
yeah, and then stopped.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that was clear.
Yeah, Willow says,
Are there
so what
are
are the
there
kidnappers doing
hostages?
now?
They're God damn it. Okay, look. These pirates, they're trying to ransom my workers on Lyman. And look, I just don't have the money to pay them right now, okay? I want to rescue my people. It's important to me that my people are safe, but look, these pirates have been hitting us for months, okay? I've requested multiple times for the Federated Sons to come in and help us, but
Civil War will do that.
no one's shown up, okay? And I don't have the money to pay, and my workers have been on strike for the last 3 weeks because I haven't been able to rescue their families and pay the ransoms. And look, I need your help.
Cyprian will just put his hands on the table and don't worry about the Federated Sons. Now you've got the Everheart Sons.
I think I'm being a bad influence on everyone.
Look,
That was
if
a
you
good
can
line.
rescue my people and kill these pirates, all the better. But the most important thing is that these pirates, well, they stop mucking up my operations.
We can use the ransom as to set up an ambush. Where do they want to ransom your people?
Well, the last facility I mentioned that was hit, they've given us 3 days to come up with 10 million sea bills, which I'm going to be honest, I just don't have right now. And that last facility apparently is where they're holding my people.
Okay. So we have a place, we have a time, and I think Cyprian, you're someone who's rather intelligent. What would be the average gravitic pull on Lyman? How close can we get our ships? We have atmosphere capable ships. We can get close to it. We can drop from a bit high up. We can ambush them, right? Is that something that sounds doable?
A hot drop, absolutely.
I'd advise against that.
You know more about it than I do. Why would
If they've got a dozen tanks and 1 or 2 lances of light battle mechs, then laying our cards on the table is the last thing that we want to do. We have to be smarter than them. So,
Ambush the ambushers.
and I say we make it appear as though we're coming to take the base by force. But instead, Cyprian, could you, with some help from Tom and the others, could you perhaps jury rig some kind of, well, decoy onto my mech to broadcast false IFF signals? Misrepresent the amount of force that we have to bear on this situation? Because if I can draw them out, if they think that a lance is coming in to take the base, and it's 4 medium battle mechs, they know they can take that with the force they have. So we draw them out, I'll be the bait, and the rest of you be the trap.
Seems
That
straightforward.
could work.
How are the 2 kids doing in their training?
They're not ready.
No, nowhere near ready.
I don't want to put them in combat, but I think having a distraction force is the right play. And I think if we can get them to run up just into sensor range and draw out some forces right before we hot drop in and cause chaos, we not only will have initiative, but we'll have them on the back foot.
What can we give them that would effectively draw them out?
Just
We
some
only
nonsense.
need to give them the illusion. We just need to rig this.
A sensor ghost.
sensibly. Yeah.
That's all we need.
And 2 sensor ghosts with, sending out 2 or 3 light mechs attached each of the 2 that we have. A lance and a half. That's enough to get their attention.
I mean, theoretically, we could potentially medium max.
Yeah.
Whatever you
With
think
some
you can do.
scouts.
But I would suggest that we make it seem like easy pickings.
The pirates know that Mr. Kelly here isn't in the
He's not-
money, as it were.
He's not a wealthy man. He can't afford a well-armed, well-equipped response. Maybe he's hired a few freelancers that he's misinformed about the situation.
I think 4 or 5, maybe 6 light mechs as a distraction force. You can put a sensor ghost on each of them.
I wouldn't go any higher than a reinforced lance of 5 in total. Anything
spoke
more
with-
than that might make them jumpy and thinking there could be more waiting in the wings.
I spoke with the 2 kids. They seem to be going well in their training. The
I mean,
the girl,
I trust them enough to run in a straight line.
sounds like the girl is very enthusiastic.
Reckless is the word I would
Too
use.
Enthusiastic.
Yeah.
But sometimes when you get shot at, it tempers you real quick.
But
Or
if
it
we-
angers you.
Well, you didn't have a building blow up a couple 100 feet behind you. I was there when that happened.
True.
Trust me. It'll temper her.
So then we have an agreement, he says.
I think so.
Yeah, I think
Cyprian's
we're
going
gonna.
to chime in and just press him to repair the mechs before we deploy.
Oh, absolutely. I'll get my guys right on it. Or if you've got techs that want to do it, we've got the facilities here.
We need
I mean,
we need the
logistics
material in the
is-
facility.
I mean the my guys are used to working on civilian mechs, cargo loaders and stuff like that. So, but you're welcome to use the gantries in Warehouse 4.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Maybe our mech techs can teach your techs a little something. Have them help you a little better in the future.
And vice versa, of course.
Yinny chuckles and says, "I think we should send Dina."
Dina is our best.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Kelly stands up, looks at everyone, says, "Well, I look forward to working with you all, and if you want to offload your mechs, we can start repairs right away." Any other questions?
I think that's it.
Sergeant Major raises his hand, actually. One question, Kelly. Not really a question, but more of a statement. If you're to be working with Evan Hart's sons, I'll expect in the future that you are forthcoming with information. Is that understood? And Kelly kind of like rocks on his heels back and forth. Oh yeah, no, absolutely. 100% forthcoming. Just like honesty is first and key, and that's what you're gonna get. Sergeant Major stands up, leans forward, both hands on the table. If you withhold information from us in the future, I will put a bullet between your eyes. Do you understand me, Kelly?
Cyprian will give him a look that's like he's not kidding.
And Kelly kind of smiles for a moment, then like frowns, but not like a I'm angry frown, but like oh, this guy's serious. He goes, understood, sir. Yeah, I absolutely. Honesty first. No other information needed to share now. The kidnappers. I'm on hard times, and yeah, you can use the facilities. You know what? There's a meeting that I'm late for. Let me go. And he is going to exit out of the room and head out, leaving you all a few moments to yourselves. The Sergeant Major looks at all of you, says, "Well, let's get to work."
Commander, threatening to shoot our paying customers probably isn't the best thing for the future.
That man is a snake oil salesman. I don't
Yeah,
trust him.
he's a lying sack of shit, but he's the one paying us, so.
You assume that he'll actually pay.
Oh, he'll pay, or
Oh.
we'll be pirates. It's fine.
One way or the other, he will, sir.
All right, men. The women. Let's get to work. And he's going to depart. Yinny gets up, follows him out. Everyone is allowed to get up and exit. And we cut to a scene of you guys offloading your mechs, moving them into these, more civilian-style gantries, but they're good enough to where they'll work for you. And actually, some work starts being done on the dropships as well. Kelly decides that he'll throw this in pro bono. Some extra work on the dropships to get them a little bit more armor and a little bit more up to par, up to snuff when
mean-
it comes to carrying mechs. Go ahead.
I'd take some gantries in
Yeah, some
the
gantries. They're willing to do a little work on there for you. And at no charge for that, just as a courtesy and as a gesture of goodwill after everything. But with that, we're gonna zoom up and out off the planet Exeter, and as we watch, we see similar to our opening scene. We see these multiple planets. We zip past a couple of the planets in the system, and we actually zoom in down into on the planet of Layman. And as we zoom in to planet Layman, we come down to this small little mining operation where you see, some vehicles. There's a couple of tanks driving around, a couple of light mechs. You see like a vulture. You see a little locust moving around, and then we zoom into one of the buildings where we see huddled together in a small room, roughly 24 workers and a couple of masked, faceless individuals holding rifles, and one of them turns to the other and says, "Do you think he'll bring the money?" And the other one turns to him and says, "If he doesn't, he'll have their blood on his hands." And that, my friends, is where we will end today's session, which has been plagued with tech issues. Oh my god. Like, I'm just proud of us that we got through it. I really am. Like,
We did it,
holy
boys.
moly's. We did it.
We made it.
We did it, boys. We did it. Also, I was recording this. The recording got damaged, so now I have to download both copies from Twitch and try to stitch them together. So that's a whole thing. But it was the weirdest thing. Literally, that's never happened. It just was like, no, blue screen, computer encountered an error, you're dead. And I was like, but why? There was literally no, like, it wasn't freezing, it wasn't weird, computer wasn't running hot, anything like that. It just decided to. I know Windows will do that sometimes. There was a recent update, so no big deal. But other than that, I hope you guys had fun. I'm very excited. You have an official mission, and you guys will go off and fight some pirates next session, which should be a lot of fun. What was that, Aaron?
And save some civilians.
Oh yeah, and we're gonna do our best to save
Maybe.
the
We'll see.
civilians. But
And
yeah, I'm
hopefully
just
get
saying
paid.
we've got a name now, and we all have to practice saying it 50 times in a row to ourselves so that we
Seven
don't
hard
forget it again.
sets. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well,
Because I was just like, what's her name?
yeah, what's her name again? I had forgotten this game master, which is why I prompted you guys to say. I was like, what the fuck was the name again? We had like 8 names we went over. I couldn't remember.
Everyone's sitting there like, I'm just gonna say it.
Evan Hart. Do I don't know. It's fine. But no, great job, everybody. It's good to be back with you. Looking forward to next Saturday. Is everyone good for next Saturday as well?
Yep.
Excellent. So you'll see these fine
Absolutely.
gentlemen back next Saturday. And as I always ask at the end of every session, any final thoughts, questions, comments, or concerns before we move on to the rest of our days? No.
I
Good.
hope everyone has a good day.
Wonderful. Well, hey, you will catch these fine gentlemen and myself here next Saturday for Session 8 of Mechwarrior Destiny, Salvaged Destiny. And as I always say at every session, players, thank you for playing. Viewers, thank you for watching. And happy gaming, everybody. We will catch you next time. Cheers.